So Fresh Air went on for 3 years at Fed Square, and they supported it every year. And then on the 4th year, they said, we don't really have any money. Would you like to do it anyway? And we were like, we can't really do it without funding. That's the problem with doing things for free, is that...
Well, yeah.
You know, and that sort of ties in with my work as well, right? Like, it's very difficult to make a living off giving stuff away for free.
Yeah, and I think like the Fed Square thing, aside from the fact of a change in management, is a bit because people don't understand that cultural production costs money.
Yeah.
And certainly play and games, it's easy to... The conversation I had with them was, you don't need money to do that, do you? And I'm like, well, no, we don't need money to do Fresh Air, but without money to do Fresh Air, it's me standing in Fed Square going, who wants to play a game? And that's not a festival, right? And we could totally do that. In fact, we've done it a number of times, just turn up somewhere and start to play. But to be able to mount something on a kind of professional scale that can actually engage a lot of people.
And bringing in international artists.
Yeah, all of that stuff. That's not about games and play. That's not about the format. That's about cultural production. That's about a festival. And that always costs money because staff and all of that stuff and production and blah. So that's one. And the fact that I think the work of artists generally, whether they be game designers or what have you, is undervalued in Australia, not only Australia, around the world, particularly as independent artists. They expect you to, producers often expect you to want to do the work for nothing because doing the work is its own reward.
The most used sentence is, so there's no money, but it'll look great on your CV.
It'll be great exposure.
Yeah, it'll be great exposure, that's it. And we've had enough exposure.
Well, yeah. For emerging artists, to an extent, that's true.
You get experience and all that sort of thing.
Yep, and you also build your reputation, which is crucial for an emerging artist.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, for the artworks to grow, they need to be supported.
Yeah.
It's problematic in Australia because the cultural funding industry is... ass backwards. I know I shouldn't swear, but I can't think of a better way to it. Is really broken and is a lot to do with the fact that about 60 years ago, when the Australia Council or its predecessor was set up, it was set up to support a specific kind of culture and a largely imported kind of culture, and has struggled to change over the last certainly the last 40 years. OzCo and Arts Victoria, which is now Creative Victoria, have struggled to keep pace with developments in design and creative practice. They are there to support the heritage arts, theatre, opera, dance, blah, 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 all of which are incredibly important, of course, and are fundamentally kinds of play as well. But when you go for funding, we've talked about funding a bit as kind of those problems. If we were to go for funding, for example, our work, because it's live games, doesn't fall into the category of theatre or could be shoved into theatre largely because of my presence, but is unlikely to get funded because it doesn't have script, it doesn't have a traditional theatre building, and also we say it's a game, and as soon as you say it's a game, well, that needs to go to digital screen, that needs to go to Screens Australia Victoria.
And Screen Victoria had a funding round for games, and we were very excited by that, and it specifically says that it has to be a computer game.
Yeah, it's got to be digital games.
Yeah, right? And we were like...
But beyond that, it's also worth saying that cultural production... production in Australia is addicted to the notion that government funding is not only what gives it legitimacy, but also is the only way to support it, which is wrong. It's just wrong. There is an audience out there that is not being served by the cultural industries in Australia, and there's no reason why games designers like us can't go get those people, because they want to be entertained, they want to be engaged. They're not being engaged by the high level of kind of work at sort of a Melbourne festival or what have you. Important cultural artifacts themselves, important cultural works that are brought out here, but the connection between a wider public audience and the work is generally not being made, and games can sort of step in and do that.
What's that excellent statistic that, like...
the Australian Bureau of Statistics, this is about 5 years ago when I was doing my PhD, but brought out information that 15% of Australians go to live performance or identified themselves as going to any kind of live theatre over 5 years. Live theatre, not just meaning MTC or Playbox, but also rather the Malthouse, but also going to my nephew's high school production, going to my mate's local amateur theatre company, going to my dance recital, blah, 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 blah. 15%. And I've, for now 20 years, been saying, why don't we go get the other 85%?
Yeah.
What's wrong with us that we don't go get those people? Why do we keep focusing on getting that 15%?
Yeah.
It's worth saying also, though, that in the same set of statistics, people who go to the football regularly or go to a live game of football only were listed as 18%. So
I'd forgotten that bit of it.
yeah, which surprised the hell out of me. Like I was expecting it to be 85% of that don't go to live theatre are going to the football,
sport, yeah.
And it's not true, because I think it's easy for us to fall back into just entertaining me. I'll just watch the television. I'll just have stuff delivered to me, as opposed to remembering that you can go out and do stuff as well. And again, cultural production has been so much that kind of broadcast model of one to many. So you've got to make a product that can be delivered via television, via screen, or what have you. And that's not what we make. We make these kind of boutique live experiences that are about people. So
the football thing reminds me that when we were doing the game days at NGV, we had it was final day, grand final day. And so we had a family in football Guernseys come and play, and I've never seen a family in football Guernsey in any of the theatres that we've ever been to. Yeah, so and was that moment of like, oh my God, this thing is wider than where we've been working for the past however many years.
Which I think is important for moving forward, not just for us or games or anything, but again, just cultural production in Australia needs to widen its focus to reach as many audiences as possible. And it's not just for a financial thing, because if you got all of the audience, they would probably pay for it. But because those people need to play, those people need culture. It's not okay to leave 85% of the people in the country with only Gogglebox to watch.